we doing? Avi Weisfogel with the Entrepreneurial Dentist coming your way and coming to you today to talk about, I'm going to say lack of progress, maybe frustrating in this particular industry, but the lack of progress from the masses versus, hey, what a select few can actually accomplish when they put their minds towards it. So I burst onto the scene after doing sleep myself, quiet, without hearing or really talking to anyone, just started saying, hey, there's got to be something different in this world of sleep apnea. I knew dentists who were doing well in the field of dentistry. I was doing well in the field of dentistry, but I honestly knew no one that was doing really well in the field of sleep apnea. So in order to see a lot of patients, I knew one guy who had cut his fees down to whatever the insurance paid him, like $600-700 an appliance. I knew somebody else who would spend a fortune on advertising, and the ROI was almost 1-to-1. It was like, hey, that doesn't work. This needs to be a business. It needs to be scalable, and it needs to just keep growing and growing. And so I would look out for courses that were being offered, and the guys who were in charge of these courses were just teaching the same exact thing. Each course, the same exact thing. Science, 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 and then you need your staff member to do this, and then someone to do this. And in reality, most of it was nonsense. So when I came out with my first ad ever, and yes, there are some things I would like to redo. In no way was I looking to cause a ruckus in an industry, but my first ad about sleep apnea said, hey, the people teaching sleep apnea have no idea what they're talking about. And while it obviously was meant to be attention grabbing, it wasn't meant to offend anyone in particular, but rather just this industry. The industry of, hey, what are you prepared to do differently, because doing more of the same doesn't work. We can't, as dentists, just hang back and wait for patients to be sent our way. Right, so I started digging around, looking at how could I figure this out, how could I get people to send me patients, how could I get sleep doctors, the guys who were in charge of it all, how could I get them to send me patients. And so you walk into a sleep doctor's office and they say, hey, I'm a dentist and I know what I'm doing with sleep apnea, and you have so many patients that can't wear CPAP and you should send them my way. Meanwhile, these sleep doctors just don't have patients sent to them. Most doctors, physicians completely ignore sleep. Even though it's 1/3 of our life, it's just ignored, right? So there's no sleep questionnaires in offices, and if there are, they're very small. Do you snore? Do you have sleep apnea? That's not a sleep screener. Just using an Epworth, also not a sleep screener. Hey, the correlation's about a coin flip. So how is it that we're supposed to be relying on sleep physicians to send us patients? The sleep physicians rely on the regular physicians, PCPs, cardio, internists, you name it. And those guys aren't sending patients to the sleep guys, and we're relying on the sleep guys. So the sleep guys have to beg for scraps. And then you go in as a dentist and say, hey, I know it's really hard for you to get patients. I know you're probably killing yourself for all of your referrals. How about sending me all of your easy cases, the slam dunks, the mild to moderate easy ones? And if I was a sleep doctor and you walked into my office with that pitch, I'd say, what are you offering me in return? It seems like you're asking me for all my patients to be sent your way. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get why you don't want to send me patients. So what can we do differently? How do we create something that makes sense for everyone? And so I'd come up with a deal with the sleep doctor I was working with, where if I was responsible for getting her patients, she would send me the mild to moderates of those. We had to track everything, and it wasn't foolproof, but all of a sudden our numbers started to increase. And the idea was this: how can we get physicians involved in the process? I had this great idea, or so I thought, of, well, if I can get $4,000 or $5,000 for an appliance, how about I take some and then I give some to the physician? I called a healthcare attorney who told me, that sounds like a great idea. I'll come visit you in jail every week. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, that's fee splitting. You can't fee split. I'm like, okay, well, help me come up with a model that does work. Years of trial and error, years of research, of going over the same concepts, different states, different doctors, different attorneys, changes in healthcare law. What's the concept that's going to lead you to get patients in your door? How's it going to work? How can we work with these physicians? And that's what I worked on for a long time. Yes, if you followed my story at all in my career, I started off with sleep labs, which by the end were making me a good living. I was doing both CPAP and oral appliances, and the money coming in from DME, durable medical equipment, both CPAP and appliances, were finally outproducing what I was doing in dentistry. And at a higher profit level because it's a way lower overhead. But that model didn't last. Home sleep tests became the norm. Sleep tests, which is how my doctors were making money, was just kind of yanked away. So we had to find a different model, and the model that we use currently, or still in different ways because the laws change all the time, are working with physicians in ways where they can get reimbursed for different things involved in sleep, yet you're running the show. Now, in no way am I recommending anything for you to do if you don't know and understand the legalities. As a matter of fact, I'm going to recommend you do nothing because you'll get yourself into a world of trouble. I have a team of attorneys that work with me because they're looking out for not just my interests, but all the interests of members of the International Academy of Sleep. What are we doing? What are we making sure we're above board? Rather than sitting there with the age-old whining of, wow, we're the dentists and shouldn't we be able to read a sleep test? And the answer is no. That's not what the rules say. So instead of fighting that fight, how about you just figure out a better way to go about it? Wouldn't this make sense if there was some synergy in this world? Couldn't that work? If we had synergy with a sleep doctor, with other doctors, it would stand to make some sense that maybe we could get somewhere. And that was the idea. How do we create this win-win-win situation? And so that's what we do at the International Academy of Sleep. Now, I get ads all the time, still, for sleep apnea. And I think the ads are exactly the same as they were back in 1998. Same course. Learn science because there's so many patients out there you can't help but see them. But you know what? You can't just treat a sleep apnea patient. If a patient walks into your office and says, can you make me an oral appliance? And you say, sure. And you make him an oral appliance without making sure this is a regular, legally obtained sleep patient, you're going to fail. You're committing malpractice. So you need to know the rules, and you need to know them in detail. And that's what drives me nuts. I just don't think the rules are taught well enough. I speak to so many dentists who have gone to courses and either were educated improperly, maybe to buy different items, whatever. That was the sale of those courses. They were selling home sleep tests, whatever the thing was that they were selling, but they were selling something at the course, and it really wasn't a, hey, is this legal, is not, and then let's take it to another level. Legal does not equal insurance rules. Insurance rules are different. Insurance rules are really what you have to follow in addition to the legalities. So just because something's legal doesn't mean that you can then just do it. So what do we do here, guys? You have to find a way for this to work. You need to have a legal team behind you. And I promise you, if you go about it the old-fashioned way of just going out and trying to get referrals, you're going to get frustrated. You're probably going to quit like 99.9%. And that's just a darn shame, because there are millions upon millions. According to the latest study by ResMed, 180 million people with undiagnosed sleep apnea. Staggering numbers. Stats are just coming up all over the place about the effects sleep distorted breathing have on your overall health. I mean, this is crazy. How are we not doing something about this? So the answer is, I don't know that I'm going to include myself in the overall we, because we are doing something at the International Academy of Sleep. We are pushing members every single day to make a difference in their world, to not become the go-to sleep dentist, because it's the wrong model. The model is not to become the dentist who gets referred to patients. The model is to become the go-to sleep person in your area, where everyone who's in a field that really doesn't understand where sleep patients should go, they send them to you. Imagine that. And not as a dentist, because you're going to be the boss, the leader, the healthcare entrepreneur who's the go-to sleep person in your area. Most areas don't have one. Most areas could have 10 easily. So think about it. If you have gone to a sleep course and you have not succeeded, why? If you've gone and taken an online course, tried it, didn't get paid, why? What's going on here? Why is it that some people, like those who are working with us at iOS, can do 50 plus cases a month and get paid for them? Think about it, guys. You got to start thinking differently. You know, I see what's gone on in the world of dentistry, and I'm so happy that I got out of it, because it's a field where the more, if you want to do better in dentistry, you know what you have to do? Work harder, produce more. That's how it goes. And if you stop, your production goes down, your business becomes less. If you work harder, it's completely dependent on you. The margins are so small that you can barely even be profitable with an associate. It's a tough model. So it's reliant on you, and there's only one of you, not 100 of you. Wouldn't you rather have a business that's scalable, that doesn't rely on your presence being there and could be done and built, that you could run from anywhere? Doesn't that make more sense? Some smarter dentists have bought multiple practices and realized, hey, I could run these things efficiently and make a margin off of X. Just unbelievable stuff, guys. The dentistry world is changing, and it's not changing for the good. So if you've tried sleep, you haven't succeeded, try again with International Academy of Sleep. And if you're still doing dentistry and you are burnt out and you just can't stand what's happening, come check out International Academy of Sleep. It will change your life. Have a great day.